Welcome back to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference, empowering the good. And in this case, we're talking about service dogs. We are joined by the co-founders of Working Dogs for Vets. We have Ken and Brenda Knabenshue. Ken and Brenda, how are you doing?
Great.
How you doing?
Doing very well. And so this is one of those amazing opportunities. You don't know it, but service dogs are a very important part of my family, and my brother's serving in the Marines and having a dog literally save his life. So when we talk about this subject, it's near and dear to my heart for sure. But Ken, give us a little bit of your personal backstory, and that will lead us into starting the organization. So give us some of your personal background with this.
Well, the background, I pretty much loved dogs ever since I was a kid. I loved competing with dogs, loved training dogs. I got away from it for a little while till I needed a service dog myself after being in a bad accident. And then I realized it was not going to be easy, and everybody wants to keep their little tricks to training hidden. So I went to California and did a little bit of an apprenticeship working with the blind dogs for a little while. And later on, I actually got approached by somebody who wanted to do the dogs for psychological reasons. I wasn't real sure about it. And I passed up the opportunity because I was young and stupid. It was a friend of mine. I didn't help. And he ended up committing suicide. So it was maybe 5 or 6 months after that when one of his friends approached me again and asked me, did I want to help? And I was like, no, I don't have the time. But then I went home and thought about it. I said, I don't know what we could even do. This was at the point the dogs weren't even allowed in the store with you yet. If they were a psychiatric dog, we used to actually train them to sit outside the store and wait on you, because the laws weren't changed yet. But that's the beginning of it. And after that, I always tell everybody, you have to talk to God about the rest, because he's the one who keeps making it grow and grow. Because I never woke up and said, let's start a service dog organization. That never happened. God woke me up and said, you're going to do it. Because it's like every time I try to walk away, he put something in front of me and says, you're not going to. This is where you're going to be for now. And it just keeps growing. We went from 2 or 3 dogs a year to a couple thousand dogs a year. And it just, every year it keeps getting bigger. I'm afraid of where it's going to be in 5 years.
Well, you are at this point the nation's largest service dog provider, which is powerful. And you look at the lives that are transformed, but obviously on both sides for the individuals, but also for the animals. And so give us a little bit of that kind of background. When you talk about service dogs, very expensive to train. That was something that you found out, but you realized, wait a second, we can step in and figure out how to not only help train them, but also provide a little bit of a mentorship model for those you train and then paying it forward. So talk about how it works.
Because if you look at service dog training, I could literally send you thousands of books on dog, animal, and people psychology. You can lose your mind. But at the end of the day, these are simple dog tricks that make somebody else's life better. But I tell you, like, teach a dog to turn the lights on. It sounds like that's something very complicated. But the reality is you could look on YouTube and find a 5-year-old doing it. So I tell everybody, don't be afraid to try this, because it's if you want to buy a service dog and the guy told you, give me a check for $50,000, but I have a job a monkey can do, nobody would do it. Well, you sit there and tell them how easy it is, but the reality is it's very easy. If you break it down into steps, you tell them, look, these are simple dog tricks that are going to make your life easy. Teaching a dog to do medication alert, a 3rd grader could do, or somebody even younger. It's very simple and it's broke down into steps, because you simply set your watch, put up a good bag of treats in the cabinet next to your medication. Your dog will, in a matter of time, their clock in their mind sets it. It's so simple for that dog to not let you ever forget your medication again. Guess what one of the number one problems with veterans is who are on medication? Forgetting their medication. So something simple like that can be life changing. When you talk about turning on the lights when you enter a dark room, it start clear. And the sense of responsibility, because I still have road rage as old as I am, have nothing to do with military or anything else. But when you're responsible for something else, your complete attitude changes. Just like your wife or kids or somebody else is in the car with you, you don't respond to it. When you're by yourself, you might have that. I would check the brakes. You know what I mean? It's like, but it's dogs can do a lot of different things to help people. People don't even realize, like, can a dog pick out your clothes? No. But if you're in a wheelchair, your caregiver puts them in the bag. The dog knows how to get that bag, take it to the shower, come back and help you get in your wheelchair to get you to the shower. So it's limitless what a dog can learn. And it's time consuming. That's what makes it expensive. If you go through an agency that bills you 50 an hour or more, if you get a decent trainer, and somebody's watching football at home, charges you $50 an hour because your dog's down at stake, that could get really expensive real quick. And most veterans have way more time than money. So the ones with PTSD, we tend to help them to train their own dog. The ones that have severe handicaps, we try to train the dogs here. And if they don't, I'll call it hitting the wall. The dog might learn 15 or 20 different tasks, but it never quite gets to the point where it can work for somebody in a wheelchair. Then we have somebody else to fill that gap. But there's an old saying that every dog deserves a human, but not every human deserves a dog. You know what I'm saying? But that's kind of true. But if they actually deserve a dog, we'll do our best to try to get them one.
Brenda, what have you seen on the emotional side of this for the individuals? What does it mean to them, but also obviously for the dogs?
So for the veterans and their families, when they get a dog and they're, finally getting back out there, it's, we've had kids call and tell us, thanks for giving our dad back, because they went to their first baseball game, football game, and different things like that. So it's not just helping the veteran to get back into the civilian life, but also the entire family. And so it just pulls at your heartstrings to know that you're helping in a big way.
Absolutely.
To get the sense of being responsible again. Some of these guys come out, they're not, you go from being a sergeant in the Army for 15 years to sitting around the house. They end up divorced, a bunch of and then somebody's telling them, get off your butt, get back in society. And sometimes it starts with a simple dog from the pound. It's like a little kid when you buy it, it's the first pet. It's like, look, let's start with a turtle. You prove you can go from there, but it's just little steps of getting them back in society. And the dog from the pound, what makes them so great, they're learning to go out at the same time the veterans get used to going out. So say start out at 2 minutes going into the store. Don't even try to stay in the line. Just go in the store and get out. Just go in, and then you see them a couple years later, they're running for public office. You might be glad they didn't win. I hope they don't hear this. You know what I'm saying? But it's weird when you see somebody who has not left the basement of their house for 5 or 6 years, all of a sudden in front of 200 or 300 people giving a speech and running for public office. That's how much of a difference a little dog can make. And when they're doing it themselves, there's a sense of satisfaction. And when other veterans are calling you, asking for advice, and you're in charge again, you're back to being that sergeant again. You're not sitting at home like, well, poor me waiting on a check. Not always a good thing to be retired when you're 30, 35 years old, especially I'd say 80% of the men in this country could not handle it. They have to have something to do or they're going to get that depression. So they have the PTSD from the combat, and then you compound that by you have no purpose. Nobody wants to be a grown man without a purpose and feel like that you're not needed to be there. And then they wonder how easy that why veterans commit suicide. It's like, well, because somebody could give you $1 million right now, but if nobody needed you other than for the money, you want to have something needed for other than just money. And when you're training dogs, you're helping other people, you're a part of something. And that it makes a world of difference just to belong to something.
Yeah. It takes the focus off of what your issues are, and you're concentrating on what's this dog need instead of
well, the real medicine kicks in. I told him the real medicine kicks in is not the dog. It's when that begins the process of the medicine. Medicine becomes when you begin helping other people. It's just like anything else in life. I heard a comedian the other day said, look, you could sit in your car alongside the highway all day long. Nobody will help. But when you get out and start to push, everybody stops and starts pushing with you. And this is what's happening when they get out and they start to push, everybody gets behind them. When we push them to where they need to be, it's like, I don't give them no break. They don't even realize it's like they're ready for training. Once you're out for class, you're like, what are we learning today? I'm like, I don't know. You're the teacher. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's it.
Well, but I love the fact that you tie in that mentorship component, because as you mentioned, it's not just the relationship then and the need to be there for the animal, for the dog. It's also kind of a mentorship, pay it forward to help other veterans and help them train their dog. And so I think to your point, that sense of I matter, I have a purpose, I can help someone else is a really powerful piece of the model that you incorporate that ultimately is what's, leading to all this great success.
Oh yeah, because it's everybody needs to be needed. And I don't care how much you like it or don't like it. You need that phone to ring if somebody else is actually asking you for advice. that's where you become important. I don't care whether that's with the church, with the dog training, another club that you belong to, but you fit in somewhere. And that's one of the basic human instincts, is to want to be able to fit in somewhere. Without that, you have severe depression. If you already have PTSD, you add that to it, you're going downhill quick.
Talk about how the community can help, because at this point you are helping veterans and, nationally. So how can we help your efforts?
What are many ways you can help? So like most charities naturally would take donations, but there's other things we can do now. A lot of people work remotely now. So if you're an office worker, you might not even really want a dog in your house and want to come out here and get dirty one day, but you know how to do different things with a computer to be helpful. Maybe you wrote grants in the past for the city or the state. You just do clerical work. Maybe you just have a good idea for a fundraiser, and that's as far as you want to go with it. But there's many ways to get involved, because we're just like any other business. Somebody has to clean the floor. Someone has to run the computer. Somebody has to clean up after the dogs. Just because we're a nonprofit doesn't mean we don't have business needs. So anything, if you've got a trade with another company, if you got a Saturday off, there's a good chance we can use you here. Even if you're an electrician, whatever, we always got projects. Just get on that list, and there's something you can do. I mean, if you're not helping out here, it's because you found a good excuse not to. You know what I mean? I can't find one. So if you call me, I'll call you out. It's like, no. And it doesn't hurt to go out, on a Saturday, spend a day making up, helping other people. I think that's actually why we're here. We forget our sole purpose in life is not to benefit ourselves, it's to benefit other people. And most people along the way, we get so caught up in possessions, we forget why we're even here. But yeah, just go online, fill out that application. If you got a skill, there's a 99% chance we could use it.
Nice. Give us, you don't necessarily have to name names, but give us a story of a recent veteran that you've worked with, and obviously what you've meant to them.
I'll tell you a quick story. One time when we're ready to, I've had enough. I take out my last loan, and I'm like, look, I'm tired of borrowing money. And I told Brenda, I said, go on Facebook and go ahead and put up a post. Everybody has a dog in training. They will finish, and I'll make sure they graduate, but we are no longer taking applications. We have to close down. And I don't get a tear in my eye, but I get a knock on the door. There's Jimmy. I can give you his name. He don't care. I tell you the story, but his wife and his kids are standing there, and they're like hugging me and like, you saved our family, you saved our children, you saved me. I'm like, this guy's got more medals than I can carry, and he's called me a hero. And I'm like, go take that post down.
They hadn't seen it.
Every time I've ever thought about walking away, something happened immediately. He says, you're going nowhere.
You're not done yet.
and you see the change it makes in people's life. Because one of the weird ones is I tell the trainers, when somebody you can't stand to be around, that's when you pay the most attention to. Because 3 years later, when they're a good friend and you miss their phone call, you'll see how much a dog can change somebody. Because you go like, I don't even like to talk to that person until you see who they are really when they're not putting up that defensive wall trying to push people away. It makes a big difference. I could sit here. You don't have enough time. I could tell you story after story. You could tell the veterans that their dog was really life-saving compared to the ones that made them a little bit better. But see, the one, it's like any kind of other medicine. You take it on time, you do what you're supposed to do, you're going to get miracles out of it. If you just want to kind of do it when you want to do it, it might make your life change, but it's not going to give you that outright miracle where you see them back out in public and you're like, wow, they're somebody. They're very important to this organization, to the community around them. You see them getting involved. It's like, I can sit here and just see like picture after picture of dog, a veteran. I don't know how many, we don't have that much time, but if you go online and look, you can just see some of the pictures. There's hundreds of them. And there's not even, I have guys calling me up I have never met thanking me for saving their life. And I'm like, call your trainer. That's the one who got it. They're like, yeah, but you're the one who started this mess. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but I believe most of it's God's will. It's not my personality to give away millions and millions of dollars every year. I don't think that's naturally anybody's personality, but for somehow it just keeps clicking and it just keeps working. And every time I lose one good volunteer, I'll get 3 or 4 more. So but there's room for everybody. Right now, we got like 3,200 veterans that are wanting help. So there's room for everybody to help.
Nice.
Even if it's just another older veteran can't get out of the hospital. He's like, look, take my name down just in case somebody needs somebody to talk to.
We'll wrap up with the contact information then in terms of where we can go to reach out and help. And so website, social media, where would you direct us to go to get involved and learn more?
workingdogsforvets.org. There's all the resources are on there, and also Facebook is probably one of our biggest go-tos. You can message us
And if
at
you're,
Working Dogs for Vets on Facebook at any time, or you could call 84-DOGS-HELP.
yeah, that's a veteran. If
Yes.
you're in trouble, you need some help, and you're trying to get back to where, I'll tell you right now, if you're a veteran, you need help, and you're calling here because you want to be normal, this is the wrong phone number. But if you want to be comfortable in your skin, give me a call, 84-DOGS-HELP. We'll see, we'll get you there.
Mention again the website. You never can say it enough. So mention again the website.
Workingdogsforvets.org.
Nice. Well, make sure everyone get involved, reach out, learn more. Ken, Brenda, thank you for all you and your amazing team do. Greatly appreciate it. And you are changing lives. So thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. Have a great day.